Do you have stiff ankles? Today I want to show you a step-by-step protocol to improve your ankle mobility.
Get up and get down, get up and get down.
Here's the deal, guys. The more your knees can travel forward over your toes, the deeper you can get into a squat with a more upright chest. This is your level of ankle mobility. Now, I want to show you guys today, first off, how to test for your level of ankle mobility, and then we'll talk about how to fix it. Now, we're going to use my man behind the camera, Evan. This is his first time actually being a part of the video. We're going to use him as an example. So what we're going to do is the 5-inch wall test. So what you're going to do is kneel down by a rig, a wall. If you don't have a ruler at home, a thumb extended and a fist. Now he's going to do his right side first. Now the big thing is making sure that your hips don't swivel to the side. Keep your hips directly straight forward. Knee traveling over your third toe. Don't let it duck in. How far can you get? From right there, you can see maybe about 2 fingers. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. Again, the idea is that we're trying to see if you have any big limitations and also any side-to-side difference. So big asymmetries are things that we want to watch out for. So again, let's drive that knee forward. Make sure it goes over that third toe. Pretty big difference. So right there, we're an entire fist away. So we have a big side-to-side difference in his left ankle. So what I want to do right now is show you guys 2 different drills that I would have Evan do, and you guys can follow along with the protocol. Okay? Let's do step 1. This is how you perform a banded joint mobilization for improving ankle mobility. We're going to have a plate, and we're going to get a thick band, about 2.5 inches thick. We need to get a lot of tension on the band and his foot on the plate. Now this band is going to be placed underneath the big ankle bones. And the reason for that is because we're trying to affect your talus bone. That's a small bone in the top of your foot. When your knee comes over your toe, the motion of dorsiflexion, your talus moves backwards while your shin moves forward. The band is there to help assist with the natural glide that happens at the ankle joint. So if you see someone performing a banded joint mobilization with the band above their big ankle bone sticking out to the side, it's not doing anything. This is not a joint mobilization. We need that band to be on the top of the foot underneath the big ankle bones. So here's how you're going to make sure you're doing that. I want you to take this hand and put it on the inside and force down like that. Yep. So what he's doing right there is he's making sure that that band is in the correct position with that right angle of pull. Now from here, he's going to drive that knee forward as far as he can and hold for a couple seconds and then back. This is called a mobilization with movement. This is something physical therapists have been doing for a long time to help assist in improving joint mobility. Something like this is something you can easily do at home. You don't need a trained professional to help you. If you were to do this and still have a pinch sensation in the front or a block sensation in the front side of the ankle, you just need a little bit more tension on the band. How's that feel?
Good.
Feels good? Yeah. Really make sure that that knee is always traveling over that third toe, however. If you are doing this mobilization and the knee is tracking in towards the big toe, we're not mobilizing in a position that we're trying to eventually mimic with our squat. So we always want to have our technique look like what we're trying to eventually come up with. So hips in line, knee over the toe. Very good. And back. Let's do 3 more. Something like this, usually I'll have people do 10 or so reps, and then we'll move on to the next one. But again, band on the top of the foot, pulling underneath the big ankle bone. How's this feel?
Tough. Can be.
Yeah, very good. All right, so now that we're done with about 10, let's go on to step 2. This is called the rig squat for ankle mobility. All you're going to do is grab hold to a rig or rack, and from here I'm pulling my hips forward. Now in this position, I'm then going to swivel over and drive my knee over my toe, but also use my elbow to push the knee out to the side. Now, why is that important? You see, as we go into a squat, the knee is not just moving forward. That's only looking at the squat in a 2-dimensional manner. The knee is also rotating and driving out to the side. So we're getting a little bit of frontal plane and transverse plane of motion. Specifically, as you squat down, the shin is tilting to the side. That's the motion of abduction. And the tibia is internally rotating. So we're tipping to the side and rotating. The lateral glide that takes place in internal rotation of the tibia is a very important movement of the ankle that's often not talked about enough. And if we only look at the ankle in a straightforward plane of motion, the movement of dorsiflexion, we can sometimes miss very crucial key aspects to ankle mobility that can help us improve that mobility even greater. So with the rig squat, not only are you going to be sitting down here and then shifting side to side, driving your knee over your toes, but you're going to drive that elbow out to the side towards your lateral part of your foot. And that can help improve that tibial glide and internal rotation of that shin as well. So I'm going to have Evan jump down and do that. So toes relatively straightforward with this. Okay, squat down, grab that rig, pull your heels or your butt towards your heel, and then drive that knee out to the side. So take your elbow and actually drive out to the side. There you go, and then shift forward. Does that bring out a good stretch in your calf?
Yeah.
Good. Yep, and just try to make sure that that foot stays completely flat. We don't want the foot to roll up onto its side at all. Okay, so let's do for this. For your left side, which is the restricted side, I want you to do 10 reps for a 5-second hold. So I want you to shift over, drive that knee out to the side, and then as you from in that position drive the knee over the toe, I want you to hold for 5 seconds and then shift back. And you're gonna do 10 reps total of that. Very good. All right, guys, I'm gonna have him do 10 reps, and then what we're gonna do is retest our ankle mobility and see if it got any better. All right, guys, now that we're done with that, let's retest. Let's see where we're at. Thumb and a fist. Okay, drive that knee forward as far as you can. Drive, 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 drive. All right, now he's about 3 or 4, 3 fingers. There we go. So pretty similar compared to the other side.
Yeah.
There we go. Because remember, we were about 3 fingers on the right side.
Yeah.
So again, we were able to find better symmetry with those 2 movements, showing that it's efficient and effective for clearing up the ankle mobility issue. Now, obviously that's just a quick couple minutes intervention. This has to be something that he's gonna have to do consistently over time to see more and more improvements. But once we know that those mobility drills help, we have 2 more things to talk about. Next is using that ankle mobility throughout his day. So what I would probably have him do is that rig squat, and this doesn't have to be something that he does just in the gym. He can pick up, a backpack or a desk at work, or a bench, while he's taking a walk around the park, and just squatting down and holding onto it, spending some time in the deep squat, expressing that full ankle mobility range of motion is the best way to keep the mobility. A lot of times, it's really true. If you don't use it, you lose it as far as ankle mobility goes. So yes, we want to improve it, but don't think that just a few minutes of improving ankle mobility in the gym is actually going to lead to long-lasting changes. We need to be able to then express that motion throughout the day. Now, we have one more thing to talk about. The last thing we have to talk about when having a conversation on ankle mobility is the shoes that you're wearing often throughout your day. Now, these are the shoes that Evan was wearing. These are a pair of Solar Boost from Adidas. These shoes have a heel, even though they're not a weightlifting shoe with a raised heel, even though they're not a pair of high heels, they still have a heel. This is a 10mm drop. Now, why is this important at all in the conversation of ankle mobility? When you wear a heeled shoe, over time, your body adapts by shortening your heel cord. Now, this is something that we've seen in research with women who are wearing habitually high-heeled shoes versus flats. Now, obviously, this is not a high-heeled shoe. A weightlifting shoe isn't even a high-heeled shoe. But what we see is a pattern that raising the heel off the ground habitually over time can lead to negative adaptations in the heel cord. So clearly the adaptation may not be as harmful as wearing a high heel, but any heel is still something that if you wear that shoe long enough, it can create those negative adaptations. And if we're talking about trying to be as optimal as possible and trying to get the most improvements out of our ankle mobility, it's not enough to just do some stretches, to just sit in a deep squat throughout the day. We also have to have the conversation of what you're wearing on your feet. And if you're trying to really maximize every ounce of potential out of your mobility work, trying to get out of a shoe that you wear constantly throughout the day of a shoe that has a heel and wearing a shoe that maybe has a complete zero drop. This is the Barefoot Athletics Ursus, just an example, but any shoe that is completely flat will be better than that. Now, again, if we're having the conversation about what you're wearing in the gym, a raised heel can be very helpful in the sport of weightlifting or those who are in CrossFit who are performing cleans and snatches. So I'm not talking about completely taking away a heel. It's very helpful in certain situations for the sport to allow you to get into even the most efficient positions possible for your technique. But it's the idea of what are you wearing constantly? And are you ever fully expressing that ankle mobility unhindered by a heel? And if we can, or if we are wearing a heel in the gym and outside and throughout the day, over time, likely we're just seeing some negative adaptations that aren't optimal. And that's really what it's all about. We're trying to optimize the process. So if we can do everything we can in our power by getting into a flatter sole shoe, I think for those who are trying to look for improvements in ankle mobility, that's where you're gonna find the completion of that more comprehensive plan. So hope you guys liked today's video on ankle mobility. Again, the follow along protocol. First, understand, test your ankle mobility and see if it's a problem. Second, we have banded joint mobilizations, about 10 to 15 reps, get a lot of tension on that band. Third, we're gonna do the rig squat where you're squatting down, driving that knee out to the side over the toe, working on that lateral tibial glide and the internal rotation by getting the knee out to the side. Then we're going to work on just sitting in that deep squat often throughout the day and changing our footwear if that's something that you can do. Hope you guys liked today's video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you're finding the videos that I'm giving to you guys valuable at any point. And until next time, guys, happy squatting.
They say that energy flows where attention goes, so I pay no mind. Why waste my time with all these negative cats scratching? So caught up in their egos, these people.